Baseball delivered a 5-hour fireworks show on July 21st, capped by a wild 8-7 slugfest in Colorado where CJ Abrams' 2 homers nearly stole the night from the Rockies. The Guardians took care of business at home, beating the Twins 5-2 behind a balanced attack. Cleveland got hits up and down the lineup from Kyle Watson, Chase DeLauter, Travis Bazzana, Brian Rocchio, Gabriel Arias, and Steven Kwan, and added a speed element with stolen bases from both Bazzana and Arias. On the mound, Colin Holderman picked up the win in relief and Cade Smith slammed the door with a 1-inning save. Minnesota's lone offensive spark came from catcher Ryan Jeffers, who went deep for the Twins' only run support beyond a scattered attack. It was a quiet night otherwise for the Twins' bats, and a costly one for Victor Caratini, who went hitless and saw his 10-game hitting streak come to an end in the loss. Cody Clemens, Josh Bell, Trevor Larnach, and Byron Buxton all managed hits for Minnesota, but it wasn't nearly enough to offset Cleveland's complete performance. The Guardians move on having controlled the game from start to finish, with their bullpen combo of Holderman and Smith locking things down late. This one was a pitcher's duel decided by a single swing. Zach Wheeler was brilliant for Philadelphia, striking out 9 over 7 innings, but he came out on the wrong side of a 2-1 final after Max Muncy took a Dodgers pitcher deep for the game's difference maker. Alec Boehm kept the Phillies competitive with a 3-for-4 night and an RBI, one of the more productive lines of the day and a name fantasy managers should keep an eye on. Justin Robalski matched Wheeler pitch for pitch on the other side, going 6.1 innings with just 1 earned run and 7 strikeouts to earn the win, and Tanner Scott slammed the door with a 1.2-inning save for Los Angeles. Derek Hill's stolen base was the lone bright spot on the bases for Philadelphia. It wasn't all good news for the Dodgers, though. Tommy Edman went hitless and saw his 8-game hitting streak snapped in the winning effort. Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, and Andy Pages all chipped in hits, but Muncy's homer proved to be the deciding blow in a tightly contested game. The Rays put on an offensive clinic in Toronto, cruising to a 12-2 blowout that was never really in doubt. 3 Tampa Bay hitters turned in monster nights at the plate. Chandler Simpson went 4-for-5 with an RBI. Nick Fortes launched a home run on his way to a 3-for-5, 4 RBI performance, and Ben Williamson matched Simpson's 4 hits, going 4-for-5 himself. Yandy Diaz also went deep for the Rays as part of a 2-homer night as a team. All 3 of those multi-hit lines are exactly the kind of streaming-worthy production fantasy managers look for. Drew Rasmussen got the win, working 5 innings and allowing 2 earned runs with 5 strikeouts, while Johnny DeLuca and Cedric Mullins each added stolen bases to round out a complete team performance. Toronto managed hits from Ernie Clement, Dalton Varsho, Nathan Lukes, George Springer, and Miles Straw, but could never keep pace with a Rays lineup that hit on all cylinders from top to bottom in a laugher at Rogers Center. The Padres crushed 3 home runs in Atlanta to run away with an 8-3 win. Manny Machado led the power display with a 2-homer night, a line that jumps off the page for fantasy managers, while Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. each added a long ball of their own. Tatis was the offensive engine of the night, going 3-for-5 with a RBI to pace and Diego's attack. Walker Buehler earned the win on the mound, working 5.2 innings and allowing 2 earned runs with 3 strikeouts. Atlanta got a hit apiece from Michael Harris, Roman II, Jim Jarvis, and Matt Olson, but the Braves' offense simply couldn't match San Diego's power surge. With Luis Campusano, Luis Rengifo, Ty France, Xander Bogaerts, and Jake Cronenworth all chipping in base hits as well, the Padres spread the damage across the entire lineup on their way to a comfortable road win that showed off both their pop and their depth. The Royals edged the Giants 3-2 in a tight one at home, with rookie Carter Jensen providing the difference with a home run to go with his multi-hit day. Isaac Collins added a stolen base, and on the mound Eunder Avila was excellent, going 6.1 innings while allowing just 2 earned runs with 7 strikeouts to pick up the win. Alex Lange closed it out with a 1-inning save. San Francisco got hits from Jesus Rodriguez, Young-Hoo Lee, Drew Gilbert, Christian Koss, and Bryce Eldridge, but couldn't string together enough offense to overcome Kansas City's pitching. The bigger story for the Giants was Heliot Ramos, who went hitless and saw his 16-game hitting streak, the longest of any player featured today, finally come to an end. It was a tough way to lose both the game and a streak that had been building for over 2 weeks, as Kansas City's balanced attack and strong pitching proved just enough to get the job done. The Mets blanked the Brewers 4-0 on the road, powered by home runs from Luis Robert Jr. and Jared Young. Francisco Lindor had himself a night at the top of the order, going 3 for 4, and A.J. Ewing chipped in a stolen base. Zach Thornton was terrific on the mound, tossing 6 shutout innings with 2 strikeouts to pick up the win and keep Milwaukee off the board all game. New York got additional hits from Luis Torrens, Bo Bichette, Carson Benj, and Marcus Semien as the lineup stayed active throughout. Milwaukee's offense never really got going against Thornton, managing only scattered hits from Cooper Pratt, Joey Ortiz, Jackson Chourio, and Jake Bauers, none of which turned into runs. It was a clean, efficient road win for the Mets, who got contributions from multiple lineup spots and never let the Brewers back into the game after Robert and Young provided the power. The Cubs blew this one open at home, routing the Tigers 11-2 behind a home run from Michael Conforto and a dominant start from David Peterson, who went 6.2 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts to earn the win. Dansby Swanson added a stolen base as part of a Cubs lineup that got hits from nearly top to bottom, including Ian Happ, Alex Bregman, Pedro Ramirez, Carson Kelly, Michael Busch, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Nico Hoerner. Amid the offensive outburst, Seiya Suzuki went hitless and saw his 8-game hitting streak come to an end, a quiet footnote in an otherwise dominant team win. Dylan Dingler answered with a solo home run for Detroit, and Howie Lee, Kevin McGonigal, Ben Mallory, and Matt Vierling all picked up hits, but the Tigers had no answer for Chicago's relentless offense and Peterson's shutdown pitching. This was as complete a win as any team turned in on the day. The Rangers blanked the White Sox 10-0 in a total mismatch. Alejandro Osuna went 3 for 4 with 3 RBI, and Brandon Nino went a perfect 4 for 4 with 2 RBI and a home run, while Wyatt Langford also went deep as part of the onslaught. Kumar Rocker was dominant on the mound, striking out 6 over 6 shutout innings to earn the win, and Marco Gonzalez closed things out with an unusual 3-inning save to finish off the shutout. Texas got hits from nearly every spot in the order, including Jake Berger, Nicky Lopez, Josh Young, Justin Foscue, Ezequiel Duran, Elias Diaz, and Cam Cauley. Chicago's offense never found any footing, managing only a couple of hits from Luisangel Acuna, Munetaka Murakami, and Miguel Vargas, and nothing else to show for it. This was a complete beatdown from start to finish, with Texas dominating every fifth of the game against a White Sox team that had no answers. The Astros held off the Marlins 5-3 behind home runs from Isaac Paredes and Jeremy Pena and a standout start from Tatsuya Imai, who struck out 8 over 6 innings to pick up the win. Josh Hader closed it out with a 1-inning save to seal it. Miami got a home run of its own from Joe Mack and Griffin Canine. Heriberto Hernandez, Javier Noja, and Kyle Stowers all chipped in hits, but it wasn't enough to turn the tide. The loss dropped the Marlins to 7 straight defeats, a rough stretch that continues to weigh down the club as they search for their next win. Christian Walker, Taylor Trammell, Lucas Spence, and Yordan Alvarez all had hits for Houston as well, giving him plenty of support on a night where his 8-strikeout performance set the tone. The Astros controlled the middle innings and never let Miami fully claw back into it, extending Miami's skid in the process. The day's wildest game came out of Coors Field, where the Rockies survived a back-and-forth slugfest to beat the Nationals 8-7. CJ Abrams was a one-man wrecking crew for Washington, blasting 2 home runs and nearly single-handedly stealing the win on the road, the kind of 2-homer effort that jumps straight to the top of any fantasy recap. But Colorado had answers of its own, with Mickey Moniak and Hunter Goodman both going deep to keep pace in the shootout. Cole Carrig was the offensive spark for the Rockies, going 3 for 5 with an RBI and adding a stolen base for good measure. With the score tight in the late innings, Juan Mejia came on and threw a scoreless inning of relief to pick up the win, and Jordan Romano nailed down the save to finally put Washington away. Jose Tina, Dalen Lyle, James Wood, and Luis Garcia Jr. all had hits for the Nationals in the losing effort, but Colorado's power and a clutch bullpen performance were enough to escape with a wild, high-scoring win in front of the home crowd. The Angels handled the Cardinals 5-1 at home, getting a home run from Joe Adell to help power the offense. Walbert Urania was sharp on the mound, going 6 innings and allowing just 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts to earn the win. Los Angeles spread hits around the lineup with contributions from Jose Siri, Zach Neto, Jorge Soler, Mike Trout, Vaughn Grissom, and Nolan Chano. Louis' best individual effort came from Alec Burleson, who went 3 for 4 but couldn't find run support, with Jordan Walker, Brian Torres, Blaze Jordan, and Ivan Herrera also picking up hits in the loss. It was a relatively straightforward win for the Angels, who got just enough power from Adele and a strong outing from Urania to keep the Cardinals' offense in check all night. Arizona edged the Athletics 6-5 in a back-and-forth affair at home, with Max Kepler's home run helping the Diamondbacks get past a two-homer effort from the visitors. Shea Langeliers and Jacob Wilson each went deep for Oakland, and Langeliers continues to swing a hot bat, extending his hitting streak to 7 straight games in the losing effort. Corbin Carroll added a stolen base for Arizona, and Kevin Jingle picked up the win in relief to help close out the tight finish. Nolan Arenado, Ildemaro Vargas, Geraldo Perdomo, Gabriel Morno, and Jorge Barroza all had hits for the Diamondbacks. Lawrence Butler, Jonah Heim, Tommy White, Donovan Walton, Alec Williams, and Tyler Soderstrom kept the Athletics competitive throughout, but Arizona's power and bullpen work were just enough to hold on in a game that went down to the wire. This one turned into a power display, with 5 total home runs across both sides before the Reds pulled away for a 4-2 win. Ellie De La Cruz, Nathaniel Lowe, and Eugenio Suarez all went deep for Cincinnati, while Weston Wilson and Julio Rodriguez answered with homers of their own for Seattle. Chase Burns was excellent for the Reds on the mound, striking out 6 over 5 scoreless innings to pick up the win, and Emilio Pagan closed it out with a 1-inning save. Josh Naylor was the offensive standout for the Mariners, going 3 for 4 and adding a stolen base, but it wasn't enough to overcome Cincinnati's power surge. Victor Robles and Colt Emerson also chipped in for Seattle, while Sal Stewart, TJ Friedl, Jose Trevino, and Edwin Arroyo picked up hits for the Reds. In the end, Cincinnati's trio of home runs and Burns' shutdown start were the difference in a game that saw fireworks from both lineups. Elliot Ramos saw his 16-game hitting streak come to a halt for the Giants, while Victor Caratina's 10-game run ended in Minnesota's loss to Cleveland. On the flip side, Shea Langeliers kept his streak alive, extending it to 7 straight games with a hit for the Athletics. And it's been a brutal stretch in Miami, where the Marlins have now dropped 7 games in a row after falling to Houston. Manny Machado and CJ Abrams both went deep twice, making them the headline waiver wire watches after this slate. Alec Bohm turned in a strong 3 for 4 night for Philadelphia, and Tampa Bay's lineup was loaded with streaming value, with Chandler Simpson and Nick Fortes both piling up multi-hit, multi-RBI lines in the Rays' blowout win over Toronto. Any of these names are worth a look for managers scanning for a hot hand. That's a wrap on another wild night around the league. Hit subscribe so you never miss a recap.